And that started a really downward spiral. That's where I hit rock bottom. Like things were just really bad for me. I was such a good girl that I had never even said a swear word, I believe, until this point. I remember clearly this one day when I was trying to get the rest of the kids to clean the house, and no one was listening and no one was helping, and I was feeling overwhelmed, and I just dropped the F-bomb. And I remember everybody stopped and they looked at me and they're like, whoa, like, and then my husband's like, kids, get out of the house, get out of the house, get out of the house. I need to talk to mom. And that started a whole series of cussing. It was some sort of I don't know, a release of anger finally that I was able to do. But I clearly needed help. I got to the point of self-harming again. I'd done that as a teenager, unconsciously. It wasn't something that I thought or planned out to do. I would just find myself, banging my head on the wall or something because I just needed the thoughts to stop. Or like I poked earrings through my ears. I just poked them through without any numbing or anything, just because, I don't know, I was mad at my mom and wanted to feel the pain, things like that. There was this point in time where I was talking to my husband. I was trying to get some sort of relief for this feeling. Everywhere I went, it was hard to find that relief. People would say to me, she's just a foster child. Why are you so upset? Things like that. And at one point, my husband said to me, so what if it is your fault? What if all of this was your fault? So what? We just need to move on, kind of a thing. And that really, really, really down spiraled me. I was like a snowball just picking up that debris and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We've had many years of fights with my husband. I was looked at very harshly by him as well. I had lots of critical responses and lots of opinions about why I had lost this innocent baby child. Probably true that I'm a sexual abuser, right? And it just a really, really hard time. We continued to have this other child who was abusing everybody the actual one who was abusing everybody in the family continued to live with us, and we continued to go through court cases up until 7 years she was in our home. And then after 7 years, my sister asked if it would be okay if she would come live with her for a couple of months in the summer, and I was so grateful. At this time, my sister was living in my brother's house. She was renting the top floor and he was living in the basement. And she had more of an understanding of what was going on, and my brother was very skeptical and narcissistic about the situation also. This child began sneaking down to the basement and flirting with my brother. And when she was with my sister, she was very antagonistic and fighting. My sister had to call the cops on her one time because she was getting so violent, and my brother just couldn't see this. It was very, a different person that he saw. And it got bad where my sister got a few CPS calls on her as well. And after 6 months, she adopts this girl, and she does this for us. She says, the difference that I see between you and me is that I don't have any kids and you have kids to worry about, and you really care about this child and the way that she grows up. And she's like, and I just don't. I'll just make sure she gets to adulthood. I mean, that's how bad it was. She was just like, I'll give her a safe place to let her be an adult, and then she'll leave and we'll move on with our lives. So seeing that it felt like there was no other option. I really didn't want to put that on my sister, but it really didn't feel like there was an option. I didn't want to be charged with child abuse, neglect, and abandonment. It would be devastating to me. So my brother ends up kicking my sister and my daughter out of his house because he's just not happy because of the things that she had been telling him. So we have this guest house in our backyard that we used as like an Airbnb. It was a decent size. Had this loft area where my daughter could have her own space up there. Had a whole, like a little kitchenette and a bathroom and everything. It was a good size thing for an Airbnb. And at one point, my daughter had gotten a hold of my sister's cell phone, and we couldn't find it anywhere. And we realized that she was making these secret phone calls to our brother, who then came up with this huge CPS case, a story for CPS, and it sounded awful. It sounded awful, 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 awful. And we ended up in an investigation again. He knew the right things to say because he was dating a social worker. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. And we went through this whole court case. We actually had some miracles happen this time where some people remembered us and was able to say, these are good people. And so luckily that painful case ended, but so did my family relationships, because I ended up reaching out to my family and saying, I know you've had some concerns about this child and how we're raising her, and here's the deal, and here's how the court turned out. And it turned into an 8-hour argument, which I was done with, but my husband decided to be protective of the family at this point and kind of continue on that conversation that lasted 8 hours. But I decided at that point that I'd have no more contact with my family, aside from my sister.